Second day of pads here at Washington Commanders training camp, and a big day for rookie offensive tackle Brandon Coleman. That and more coming up on today's episode of Locked On Commanders.
You are Locked On Commanders, your daily podcast on the Washington Commanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into today's episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, David Harrison, credentialed member of the media, covering the Washington Commanders for Sports Illustrated's CommanderGameDay.com. Here with you every Monday through Friday. Greatly appreciate you coming through today. Every dayers, greatly appreciate you coming through every single day. Welcoming you back to your daily podcast covering the Washington Commanders. And of course, if you haven't already, you can subscribe for free on YouTube or wherever you're listening to today's episode. And on today's episode, you're going to hear from Washington Commanders offensive tackle Brandon Coleman. You're also going to hear from wide receiver Olamide Zaccheus on day 7 of our Eye on the Tiger series is going to continue as we continue to watch quarterback Jayden Daniels. But first, we just had Brandon Coleman on the program here earlier this week. But after the day that he had out here on Thursday, just had to bring him up again. And we'll talk to you more about that here in just a moment. If you want to discuss that, this, or anything else on this episode or anything else Washington Commanders related, all you got to do, reach out, send me a text message, and I can be your buddy, your eyes and ears here on the ground with the Washington Commanders. Go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnCommanders to do that today. Not only can you text me your thoughts, your questions, I'm going to text you mine. I'm going to text you my observations out here at practice, press conferences, games, bonus content. And of course, we're doing some pretty regular Zoom conferences now, insiders only. We all get together, talk football, just kind of hang out for about half an hour. So it's a lot of fun if you want to get in on that. Join subtext.com/LockedOnCommanders again to become an insider. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL, and you will get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Like day 7 of Washington Commanders training camp out here in Ashburn, Virginia, in the books, a very hot one, a scorching one. And as bad as I felt for myself in my t-shirt and my shorts, Washington Commanders were out here in pads. Second time we've seen them in pads. Second time we've seen them in pads, practice for about an hour, 20, 25 minutes. Dan Quinn and his staff continue to focus on quality of practice, not longevity of practice. Make sure you get good work in, get the work done, get the guys back in the air conditioning, get them hydrated, get them on the tape, get them at learning in the classroom, in the meeting rooms. And that's exactly what they did. But we did get a good amount of action on the day. So they definitely filled that hour and 25 or so minutes with plenty to see on the field. And it all started off with offensive line versus defensive line, one-on-one drills for the first time out here at training camp. And I do this every year. It's one of my favorite drills. I went ahead and I charted every single rep. Now, I say every single rep, but I gotta give you a little bit of a qualifier here, all right? Dan Quinn very smartly split the offensive line, defensive lines into 2 groups. So you had one group over here, one group over there. And basically what he said is he didn't want 2 guys doing a drill, 25 guys standing around watching. It makes a lot of sense, right? But honestly, I've seen a lot of training camps in the last 15 years or so, and you don't see a lot of people actually do that. You typically see 2 guys doing a drill and 25 guys standing around watching, cheering on, or talking trash, or doing whatever they're doing. So it was a lot of fun. But because of that, you can't have, don't have 4 eyes, don't have 2 sets of different eyes to be able to keep an eye. So what I did is I focused in on the biggest story. What do we need to pay attention to the most? And I think everybody would agree Brandon Coleman is the guy, or the starting offensive line. That is the unit that we need to start with. So the first team, quote unquote, offensive line for the O-line versus D-line drills. Brandon Coleman at left tackle, Nick Allegretti at left guard, Tyler Biadasz, your center. Right guard was Sam Cosmi, right tackle, Trent Scott. Andrew Wiley not participating in the one-on-ones. Andrew Wiley not participating in the team drills. Did do some individual work. The assumption is that he's still dealing with some of that tightness, quote unquote. We don't know where it is exactly. Legs, back, somewhere, most likely in one of those 2 areas. But Andrew Wiley's still not able to participate fully in those team drills, certainly, or in the one-on-ones. Certainly something that he's not going to be happy about, and certainly something the Washington Commanders would like to get rectified, especially after what we saw from Trent Scott in the one-on-one drills. Also, Cornelius Lucas not out of practice on Thursday. The team did tell us that was for a personal reason. It was excused, no other details. And if it's personal, we don't need any other details. Hope everything is well with Cornelius and his loved ones. But we went ahead and charted this. And bottom line is, guys, Brandon Coleman, rookie offensive tackle, left tackle for today's drills, absolutely came away winning the day. He had 4 reps. He won all 4 of those reps. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, none of them were really close to him losing, at least not right off the bat. There was one rep where, as the play continued to go on, if the quarterback would have held the ball and stood in the pocket, which If you've been watching Jayden Daniels, you know that quarterback's not holding on to the ball and standing in the pocket. If he's got the ball in his hands, he's definitely not in the pocket. So that wouldn't have been a concern for Brandon Coleman in that situation. But that was the closest he came, and that would have been a 3-4 second defeat if it was a defeat, which is not a defeat when you're grading these things. You're looking at 1 to 3 seconds. If the offensive lineman can keep that defender outside the pocket and outside from where the quarterback would be, then it's considered a win for the Washington Commanders offensive lineman. And Brandon Coleman, like I said, won all of his. So let's go point by point here. Brandon Coleman's first rep was against Clelin Ferrell. Told you guys Clelin Ferrell looked a little bit faster than I really expected him to be. That didn't change, but Brandon Coleman was able to hold him off there. His next rep went against Dante Fowler Jr., who is a much faster pass rusher, known for his speed. Brandon Coleman able to kind of absorb his outside move, and once he got his mitts on him, man, I'll tell you what, they were not moving. Next rep was against Jamin Davis, who's getting cross-trained as an edge rusher. Jamin lost that rep as well. And then finally, Coleman and Ferrell matched up again. Brandon Coleman getting the better of the veteran Clelin Ferrell again. So, yeah, the rookie looking really, really solid. I had a couple of questions from some insiders when I was sending text messages. I was texting during practice to the insiders, and a couple of questions coming from insiders. Is it safe to say that Brandon Coleman is officially the starting tackle from a media, from a fan standpoint, even if the coaching staff is not going to do it? Here's what I'm going to say. No, but it is safe to say that Brandon Coleman right now, the best looking left tackle on this team. So certainly he's in the league. I think I would call it solidified. Like, you need to see him go against the Jets minimum. Maybe after the Jets game, we can re-talk about this, readdress this, and maybe I'll feel bold enough to go ahead and call the race done. But as of right now, no, there's still definitely time for some other guys to get involved here. And don't wish it, obviously, but there's still time for Brandon Coleman to potentially lose his grip on the job. I think most people out here do agree that it is at this point, it is Brandon Coleman's job to lose. He's certainly looking good. But again, we're still very early in that process. Another one, talking about the first team reps. Is the difference in first team reps very significant, and does it matter? And lately, yes, the difference in team reps between Brandon Coleman and anybody else getting those first team left tackle reps has been significant. I don't chart every single offensive line rep because I quite honestly can't count all 22 people on the field. So I chart those things, but I will tell you that just from noticing and watching and paying attention, Brandon Coleman's certainly favored in that left tackle race from as far as a rep standpoint is concerned, and certainly his own. Not perfect by any means. Nobody expects him to be perfect, I don't think, but certainly has looked the cleanest, the most consistent, and the best of the guys who've gotten opportunities over there. So I do think that is safe to say that he's certainly earning those opportunities. Quickly, I charted the rest of that group's one-on-ones. There was a total of 20 reps. In one, John Allen got a win over Nick Allegretti pretty easily, actually. Nick Allegretti definitely got caught off balance there. Was not happy about that himself. Offensive lineman Benning Pozai bull rushed Tyler Biadasz, the center, and I don't think Tyler Biadasz was ready for that because Tyler Biadasz got pushed right back into the pocket on that rep. Sam got a win against Deron Payne. Dorrance Armstrong Jr. got an easy win against right tackle Trent Scott. Dieter got a win against John Rich. Allegretti got a win, got a little bit of payback against Benning Pozai there with their next rep. Payne then got a victory over Sam Cosmi. Farrell got a win over Trent Scott as well. Allegretti won over Allen, but John Allen did keep the legs churning. And again, if that rep, the quarterback was standing in the pocket, John Allen did get a late win there. So for just whatever that's worth. John Ridgway got a win over Michael Dieter. And this is where things got a little bit testy. Smacked Michael Dieter on the helmet after getting the win. I don't think it was intentional. I think he was just trying to make a move. But either way, smacked Michael Dieter upside the head after getting that win. Benning Pozai then got a win over Sam Cosmi. Benning Pozai having a very good day in the one-on-ones as well. I'm real big. I really like what he's been doing this training camp as well. Dante Fowler got a win on Trent Scott pretty easily. And Nick Allegretti over Deron Payne. Michael Dieter got a win over Rich with payback. And then Sam Cosmi and John Allen hooked horns. And not only did Sam Cosmi win, he took big John Allen to the ground. John Allen, none too happy about it, was having some words with Sam Cosmi. Sam Cosmi was having some steps walking away from John in return. Then finally, Jamin Davis got a win over Trent Scott. So if you're counting, Trent Scott 0 for 4. Not a good day for Trent Scott as a right tackle of his team. Honestly, personally, not going to be a whole lot of confidence if whatever, Cornelius Lucas is dealing with becomes a long-term situation. If Andrew Wiley can't get healthy again fully, would not feel confident having Trent Scott as the right tackle. So the Washington Commanders would either need to find a right tackle or Brandon to the right side and find a left tackle. I don't know what the solution there would be. Of course, that's just from today's practices mainly, but Trent Scott not having, the greatest camp as far as, individual reps are concerned either. So if for some reason Andrew Wiley and Cornelius Lucas become unavailable for extended periods of time, do you think the Washington Commanders would need to make some sort of move to go find another right tackle candidate where they don't need to find another candidate as quarterback. The more we see Jayden Daniels practice, the more we keep our eye on the Tiger, so the more confident we get. And that did not change on day 7. Confidence growing in the rookie quarterback as we near Jets joint training practice, training camp practice, and the preseason game. That and more coming up on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode of Locked On Commanders is brought to you by Game Time. And Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting your baseball tickets easier than ever. Prices on Game Time actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. And they've got killer last-minute deals that'll save you up to 60% on the app at all times, all-in prices. So there's no surprises when you go to check out. Views from your seat so you know what you're getting into before you buy your tickets. And they have their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. So Friday, August 2nd, the next time you can see the Nationals play at home as they host the Milwaukee Brewers. And you can go see that game for as little as $5 on the Game Time app. Take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create your account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Jayden Daniels continued to press in a solid rookie training camp. That coming up on our day 7 Eye of the Tiger watch on the rookie quarterback. Coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Commanders. Thanks for making Locked On Commanders your first listen of the day. Thanks for coming through like you do. Make sure you come back tomorrow. We got another day of practice. We're going to be back out here in Ashburn. We're going to be back out here with another episode of Locked On Commanders following that practice. In the meantime, if you need more sports coverage, make sure you check out Locked On Sports Today, a 24/7 live streaming sports channel on YouTube that brings you the biggest stories in sports without all the fuss and the drama that some other places will bring you. Again, streaming all for free, live 24/7 on YouTube, or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, all part of the Podcast Network, your team every day. On day 7, Washington Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels continued to impress with his poise, with his execution, and quite frankly, with his ball placement, which I know was a little bit of a concern for some people in the pre-draft process. Bottom line, guys, on Thursday, again, one full period of the training camp practice was designated for the one-on-ones that we just talked about. Another period was designated for special teams, so not as much teamwork as you would usually get anyway. But for what it's worth, Jayden Daniels completing all but one pass in 11-on-11s, and he did it with the first team every single set. 0 second team reps for Jayden Daniels on Thursday. And the first one, though, very heavily focused on the run game. Only got one pass out. Play action to the running back, rolled out to the left side and found Terry McLaurin on a hitch route. Very well-timed ball, very well-delivered ball. And Terry McLaurin, of course, doing what Terry McLaurin does, bringing in the ball. That was the only pass for that first team of the day for Jayden Daniels. Second team set, he got 4 dropbacks. We got 5 dropbacks through 4 passes, completed all 4 of them. First one was a right side, or was to the left side. It was a right to left crossing route by tight end Zach Ertz. Jayden Daniels threw it out there with good anticipation. When he threw the ball, I followed the ball with my eyes. I looked at the ball. I said, there ain't nobody there. Then I see Zach Ertz run into the frame and come in and grab the ball. Great anticipation, throwing his guy open on the over route there. Second pass of the set was a completion. It was a tunnel screen for Terry McLaurin. However, the ball placement, not the greatest there for that one pass, was behind Terry McLaurin, threw him behind the line of scrimmage more than he should have, and a little bit high. Definitely would have been blown up by that Washington Commanders defense. Third pass was a check down to Austin Eckler in the middle of the field. Austin Eckler made a really nice move to make a defender miss. Fourth pass was a touchdown, left sideline to Terry McLaurin, a deep ball bomb, 50-yard or so pass on the day over cornerback Emmanuel Forbes. But I do want to make sure that we use full context. Emmanuel Forbes these days, Emmanuel Forbes was in phase. He was in position. He was where he was supposed to be in the route. But again, the ball was just in the perfect place. Terry McLaurin is Terry McLaurin. Quan Martin, the deep free safety, was coming over. If it was full contact, definitely would have laid a hit on Terry McLaurin. I don't think Terry would have gotten into the end zone, but Terry being Terry, still definitely a possibility. He comes down with the ball. So either way, a potential big play for the Washington Commanders offense. Maybe not a touchdown, though, if Quan Martin was actually able to hit Terry McLaurin coming over as the safety. Fifth play of the set was a drop back, but nothing came open, and Jayden Daniels, being decisive, got around the pass rush, scrambled up the field, would have gained a nice chunky yardage before a defender got near him. So it was good. That was his biggest set of work. Last set of team, they came out in the red zone. Jayden Daniels completed his first pass, which was a left side quick route to B-Rob. Again, a little bit behind. You want to see him sharpen up on that just a little bit, but that's why we work on these things. And then he threw his only incompletion of the day on the right side, intended for Jahan Dotson. So that was Jayden Daniels' day, our day of Eye on the Tiger, watching the rookie quarterback. And if you watch yesterday's episode, kind of our lessons learned through training camp up till that day off on Wednesday, you already know I've been really impressed. We already knew Jayden had the arm to get the ball deep. He had the ability to stay composed in the pocket, and he had the ability to be athletic and be a threat as a runner. But we've seen intermediate passes, we've seen middle of the field passes that have been successful, and just his presence and his ability to stay calm under pressure when the pressure is there has been very impressive. Caught up with Jayden's agent and mother and some other close people that he had nearby after practice, and just talking to them about some of those things. And of course, none of them are surprised by any of the things that we're seeing out here, but definitely pleasantly, I'll say surprised, but happy to see some of these things coming out of Jayden as we get through. Again, one more practice this week before we have a day off Saturday. We're back Sunday, we're back Tuesday, and then Thursday, we're in New Jersey for joint practice with the New York Jets. So that's coming right around the corner. Some other notes from practice outside of Jayden Daniels. Again, Andrew Wiley, no one-on-ones, no team sets on Thursday, so we continue to monitor him. He told reporters that he's dealing with some tightness, didn't specify where. We assume right now that it's pretty much the same situation. So we're hoping we see Andrew Wiley get back on the field, again, especially after what Trent Scott went through as the right tackle in the one-on-one specifically, but in some of the sets as well. Again, as well, Cornelius Lucas not on the field. And then we saw Jamin Davis get his first linebacker reps, off-ball linebacker reps of the training camp period with the first team. So he was out there. Not too much of a difference between him and Jordan, to be quite honest with you. Not a lot of reps either to go ahead and evaluate. But Dan Quinn did say we will see Jamin Davis get some more off-ball linebacker reps as training camp continues on. So we'll continue to monitor that as well. Coming up next, you are going to hear from Washington Commanders wide receiver Olamide Zaccheus, and you're going to hear from offensive tackle Brandon Coleman following his big day. That's coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode of Locked On Commanders is brought to you by FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much and never want them to stop. But the sports just stopped sportsing as much after the Major League Baseball, or after the hockey playoffs, rather, are done, and after the NBA Finals are done. Even with the Olympics, sports just doesn't sports the way that you usually want it to do. As the NFL schedule gets ramped up, though, I can still find ways to get in on the competition with FanDuel because they've got bonuses and deals all summer long, every single day for any customers. New customers, you're getting bonus bets with winning $5 bets. Returning customers, you're getting same game parlay profit boosts. You're getting other boosts. You're getting special bets like bonus bets for every home run hit in a single day in the Major League Baseball schedule. Just something every single day for everybody, no matter what your game is that you like to go through. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up this episode of Locked On Commanders. You're going to hear from offensive lineman Brandon Coleman following his big day out here. We are first going to hear from veteran wide receiver Olamide Zaccheus. All right, man, so easy one first, right? How's camp going for you?
It's going good. Just trying to stack the days. Find a 1% each day to get better. And but it's been going pretty good.
Absolutely. You've been making plays out here, and a lot of people are growing pretty confident. We're still pretty early in the process, right? But pretty confident you're going to be on this active roster when that time comes. How does it feel for you to just continue being able to make plays in the league for your quarterbacks?
I feel like each year, just expectation for myself goes a little bit different. Like, I don't worry about making the team. I worry about elevating my game to the next level. And I'm confident that I'm able to do that. Given the opportunity. So I just got to keep stacking these days, like I said.
Absolutely. You were with Coach Johnson last year. Obviously, he's here now. Cliff Kingsbury, and everybody's kind of said like it's not going to be just like one offense that you've seen from the past. How much different really is this offense compared to other ones that you've been in?
It's way different. Like, as far as terminology, especially, it's way different. It's way different. There's bits and pieces from different offenses that I've been in the past, but I think overall it's a completely different system than what I've been in the past. But I'm excited to be in it.
And how do you feel about your role within that specifically?
I feel good. Like I said, I feel like each year my expectation for myself grows differently, and I'm at a point now where I can just line up and play wherever. And I'm confident wherever I can line up, I can win. So I feel really good.
And Marcus Mariota, you have some history with him, obviously. He's in a interesting position, right? Obviously, he wants to compete, he wants to be on the field, but also he's looked at as kind of to be a mentor to young Jayden Daniels. How do you feel like he fits that role, and how do you think he's taking to it?
Marcus is a great teammate at the end of the day. So, whatever role he has to play, he's going to play to the best of his ability. And that's just who he is as a person. Whether he's the starter or, like you said, mentoring Jayden, like Marcus is going to be the best teammate he can be. And like I said, that's just who he is as a person.
Absolutely. Have you done joint practices before in the NFL? So when you go into a situation like the Jets, right? They got Sauce Gardner, obviously got some other defensive players, pretty good defense over there. What's your mindset? What's your goal going into a joint practice? Because obviously we're all looking at the competition of did the Commanders win today, did the Jets win today? But what's your focus?
Just competing. It's a chance to compete against another team. Obviously, whenever you go against anybody, they're going to have good players on the other side. So, excited to go against those people. But at the end of the day, it's just competition. Gives you a little game day feel too at practice. So it's always good to do joint practices.
Absolutely. Who's the toughest DB you faced out here so far?
Myself.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on that? I like that.
I just feel like it's me against me.
Yeah. Just compete against your own mentality. I like that. I like that answer, bro. I like that answer. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Stay healthy, man. Keep making plays.
Appreciate you.
All right, guys. That was Olamide Zaccheus. Now let's hear from the man of the day, rookie offensive tackle, Brandon Coleman. All right, Brandon. You had a pretty good day today. Let's start off with the one-on-ones because that's everybody's favorite thing to watch out here on days like this. The way I charted it, bro, you didn't lose a single rep. So how did it feel to go toe-to-toe and hold your own out there?
I see like every pass rep out there in practice like a one-on-one. That's what I kind of learned is like every practice rep I treat that as like me versus that guy. That's the same mentality I have one-on-ones. Yeah, they say like it's like a drill set up for the defense, but at the end of the day, if you just trust your set and you know what they're going to do, you know what you can do, that's all it's about.
Absolutely. And then, just even more first-team reps, right? The last time we talked, you just started getting those first-team reps. How much has your confidence grown just over the last 4 or 5 practices?
I think pretty well. It's not just with the reps at first team, but just in general, getting out there and getting a feel for what I need to be doing. At first it was a lot about thinking what they're doing on their side and trying to, avoid different things, but now I got comfortable just trusting my hands. If they knock it down, having like different comebacks forward and having different tools in my toolbox. So just being able to trust myself and my technique rather than being worried about what they're going to do.
This is kind of a non-training camp specific question, but who's the lineman, like growing up, coming up through college, getting ready for the NFL, like who's the lineman that you kind of look at as someone that you respect in the game outside of, your NFL experience so far?
Yeah, I think especially the past couple of years when I tried to really hone in on my game, there's like a couple linemen that I looked at for technique points in college I watched a lot. For pass pro, it was Lane Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
His get off, the way he just stays square, he sets up. In the run game, it was guys that tackle, especially Trent Williams. At first, I had struggled staying low in my run game and running through guys, and I kind of watched his tape, his mentality. Just listen to him, see how he talks about the game, helped me out a lot. And then when I moved inside, how to pull, how to stay low, I watched a lot of Jason Kelsey. Even though he's a center, at guard, it's kind of the same mentality that I have. The way you pull, the way you get around guys, the way you got to run through guys, at his size of what he did, helped me out a lot, figuring out how to do that stuff.
Absolutely. Who's the toughest D lineman out here?
Man, I think the whole defense is tough.
Yeah.
I think the only thing is like everybody has a different flavor to them.
Uh-huh.
You have the big guys who might throw a long arm, and then you have the guys that are quick. Have 5-4 different counters out there in one rep. So it keeps me on my toes. It really sharpens my mind and like knowing who I'm going against, knowing what to throw out there, knowing how to catch them off guard. It's like a chess game. So it keeps you on your toes all practice.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
And that's going to wrap it up today. Come back tomorrow. We got another day of practice. We're going to be out here again doing this whole thing again. It's hot out here. My computer is starting to stick a little bit. My computer definitely needs a break. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. We will talk to you tomorrow. In the meantime, if you got comments, questions, anything you want to talk to about the Washington Commanders, just send me a text message. Join subtext.com/lockedoncommanders. Text me today and we can have a conversation. For your second listen of the day, check out Locked On NFL Scouting. The draft dudes, Joe Marino and Kyle Krabs, make you the smartest NFL fan in your circle with Locked On NFL Scouting. Available on YouTube or wherever you're getting this podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And of course, thank you for making Locked On Commanders your first listen of the day, every dayers. Thanks for coming through on a regular basis like you do. We will see you tomorrow. In the meantime, if you're out and about, please be safe, be kind. And again, we will see you next time for another episode of part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.